Bloody Island Massacre, 1850. The forgotten tragedy that demands remembering. On a still morning in May 1850, the waters of Clear Lake mirrored the sky, calm and indifferent to the tragedy about to unfold. The Bloody Island Massacre, one of the darkest chapters in California's history, would soon stain the pristine shores of this serene lake with the blood of innocent men, women, and children. It was not just a slaughter. It was a symptom of a larger sickness, manifest destiny, and the insatiable hunger for land and power that destroyed indigenous lives and histories in its wake. This was a tragedy rooted in greed and cruelty, one that grew quietly like a shadow cast by settlers who saw opportunity, not humanity, in the indigenous inhabitants of Northern California. The Pomo people, who had lived harmoniously for centuries along Clear Lake's fertile banks, were enslaved by Andrew Kelsey and Charles Stone, settlers who purchased land from Salvador Vallejo in the late 1840s. The Pomo were forced into grueling labor, their traditions torn apart and their autonomy crushed. Denied food and subjected to abuse, they lived as prisoners on their own land. The breaking point came in 1849. Starved, beaten, and desperate, a group of Pomo men killed Kelsey and Stone in an act of rebellion they knew could mean the end of their lives. It wasn't a crime. It was survival. But their defiance unleashed a storm of vengeance they could never have anticipated. The settlers' deaths provoked outrage among local authorities, who sought not justice, but retribution. The U.S. Army, led by Captain Nathaniel Lyon and Lieutenant J.W. Davidson, launched an expedition to Clear Lake under the guise of punishing the guilty. However, the Pomo responsible for the deaths of Kelsey and Stone had fled the area. Left behind were innocent families, elderly men, women, and children, seeking refuge on an island in Clear Lake known as Bo No Poti, or Old Island, by the Pomo. The soldiers didn't care who they found. The mission was clear: eradicate the Pomo. On May 15, 1850, the massacre began. Soldiers surrounded the island and attacked with brutal efficiency. There were no warnings, no demands for surrender. Gunfire erupted, cutting down men as they fled, women clutching their children, and even the elderly who couldn't run. Witnesses later described the water turning red with blood as the Pomo tried to escape by swimming. Those who made it to the water were shot from boats. The soldiers left no one alive. They even hunted those hiding in the reeds and bushes, ensuring that none would survive to tell the story. By the end of the day, the screams of the dying were replaced by an eerie silence. Estimates of the death toll vary, but most historians agree that at least 60 Pomo were killed, though some accounts place the number closer to 200. This was not justice. It was genocide. The soldiers satisfied with their work, left the island as a desolate graveyard. The aftermath of the massacre was as chilling as the event itself. The violence was largely ignored by the public and the press. California was a state brimming with ambition and energy, eager to promote its promise to settlers during the gold rush. Stories like the Bloody Island Massacre did not fit into this narrative of progress. The massacre was swept under the rug, its victims forgotten by all except the Pomo survivors who bore the weight of their people's decimation. Today, the massacre site is marked by a modest plaque, placed there not by the state, but by the efforts of Pomo descendants. They call the island Bo-no Poti, honoring the memory of their ancestors. The plaque reads, "In memory of Pomo Indians massacred here on Bloody Island in 1850 by Captain Nathaniel Lyon and his U.S. soldiers, erected by survivors of the massacre." It is a quiet testament to the resilience of a people who endured unimaginable loss, but refused to let their story die. The Bloody Island Massacre is more than a historical event. It is a reflection of how easily humanity can be stripped away when power and greed take precedence. To understand it is to confront the ugly truths of America's expansion, a history built not just on dreams, but on the broken backs of those crushed beneath them. Why does this story matter today? Because the echoes of Bloody Island still resonate. The massacre reminds us of the importance of standing against injustice, of recognizing humanity in all its forms, and of the dangers of forgetting. We cannot undo the horrors of the past, but we can honor them by ensuring they are not erased. We can learn, reflect, and strive to do better. The Bloody Island Massacre should never have happened, but its memory, if preserved, has the power to teach future generations the value of justice and empathy over power and greed. It is a tragedy that demands to be remembered, not just by the Pomo, but by all of us.